You said in one of the interviews that you did that at first you guys only were planning to do the first Little Nightmares game. You didn't know if there's going to be a sequel or something.
Mm.
How did that affect planning the story? Because everything is so interconnected. Like the pictures of the teachers at the okay, I should
Mm.
probably mention, hello, people, audience, people. I am going to spoil things. Skip however
Ooh.
much. But
Redacted.
like, yeah, like it's so interwoven. Like the pictures of the teacher and the barber and the ma, the
Mm.
bullies singing the TV song. There's so many little details as well of the characters and everything
Mm.
across the games. So there, it
Hmm.
is obvious that you guys have like built this whole world. How did you do that? Like, did you do that from the beginning, from the first game, where you're like, okay, we're gonna go all out and see what happens, or did it come naturally?
I mean, you have to build a world. From our perspective, you have to build a world, even if you're only making one game, though, because that game has to exist in something. Otherwise, it's not going to feel like anywhere. It's going to feel like a game world instead, isn't it? And you don't care about what's out there because this is all there is. So for our stuff to feel like richer, you have to build more than you actually give people in the game. So like in Little Nightmares 1, there was tons in the background that I'd done still. Like, yeah, when we started making the game, it was quite a smallish story. But like I say, like I said earlier, I jumped from the game story back to lore and world building. And you take this story and you're like, right, so where's she been and where's she going and who does she meet and where have they been and where are they going and all this. And it's just, do you know what? I love doing that as well. And as I always say, I love writing scripts, but it's been really rewarding building the world of Little Nightmares and the background. And I would say 80-90% of it is probably never going to be seen or heard or played by people, but it's there and it's like it informs just these little things that we've done.
That's
Even
very
trophy
interesting.
names or song names or whatever comes from this world that's been created. And so there's so much to, like you say, like the picture of the teacher in the first one, it's like a red thread that's in there that we explore in the background. And then when it comes time, like, oh, people actually like this game, then we start looking at like, well, what's in the world now? What's in the lore that we can bring into Little Nightmares 2 and in a story that's worth telling and in a world that makes sense. And it's like, all right, so let's introduce people to the teacher, this picture that you've seen already. So it's like, yeah, we didn't have this big like, here are the next 6 games.
Yeah, yeah.
uh, I don't think you can't do it that way, but you have to build a world and then just pick from it. Like, oh, this is a story I really enjoyed writing in the lore. Maybe this will work for this thing that you're going to do. So it's
Were
like
you
that.
afraid to put so much work into it then, than if like 90% of it like wasn't going to be seen anyway?
No, never. I just loved doing it, and I didn't know what was if we were ever going to make another game, and if we were, I didn't know what it was going to be about. So you can't put the brakes on like that. It was just, and do you know what? It was like it was right up my alley. It was like I was saying before about the shiny new thing, the shiny new thing. Like the way I've written this world in the background is leaving red threads for myself all over the place. Because I say I'm writing the story of Six or writing Mono, where Mono's come from, where he goes, and blah blah blah. Maybe I don't want to get distracted at this point, but I'll just leave like a little path heading off to the left, like. And then I think I mentioned that in some interview, but it was just a random example. But maybe something's dangling from a tree, and you can't help but notice that in the writing. And
Yeah,
then when I
that's
come back to
fantastic.
read that another time, I'm like, yeah, I was interested in that then. Let's tell the story of that thing that's dangling in the tree, and you head off in that direction. And that can, so it kind of is a really organic way of world building it's I don't know if it's according to any rules. I don't read that sort of stuff. I don't know how to do this job other than the way I do it. So
Yeah, there's
that's
no rules anyway.
yeah. But I'm sure there's so many books out there, but I'm scared to read them because I'll probably read that everything I do is wrong. But no, that's it. And it was a thrill. It was just amazing to just write everything that excites you until it doesn't, and then go back and find the other thing that excites you, and suddenly you've got 150 pages of something that people can use or not as much as they like.
That's awesome. So that's like how, your weakness that you considered it like is actually like a huge strength in that case. That's
Mhm.
awesome. I'm really curious. Do you watch theory videos about the game?
Now and again I do, yeah.
How do you feel about
um
that? It must feel like so weird. Like, you messaged me and you were saying like, I still can't believe people are impacted by this game. That's crazy.
yeah, I think when I first heard people were doing theories, I was like, ah, what? Really? I think it was like an essay. Someone had just published an essay on a website, and it was very well researched and very carefully written. And we're like, this is beyond anything. I mean, we knew why we were doing what we were doing, and you hope people kind of engage with it, like, because we had always thought that people would want to be challenged, and want to think about a game instead of being told what the story is and told what to do next, which is, another of the core parts of the birth of Little Nightmares. It came from that. That's when I was mentioning Heart of Darkness. But for it to kind of take off in that way was just mental to us. It was just, and now it's gone next level, hasn't it? Like the people, I'm this, I'm that, in Twitter, I'm that, oh, and I'm a Little Nightmares theorist. I'm like, that's what?
It's
And
gotta
there's
be
so many
insane.
things, so many out
That's a
there.
huge honor, like to have people like dedicated to like breaking down your work. That's gotta be like insane to think
Which
about.
is, yeah, which is also why that law Bible can't get out there, I think, because
Do you have
I,
like a okay, like cuz for example when I write I have like okay, this is the real story and this is the piece that I am going to show. Do you have that piece anywhere or like a whiteboard where you connect all these threads that will never be shown?
like The Wire.
Yeah.
No, it's like no,
Or is it all in your head?
no, it's all like saying the law Bible, which is, like, it's part how we write for Little Nightmares, like where the characters come from, so that if anyone did want to kind of, from another company or whatever transmedia they decide to do, there's something there that's kind of coherent and keeps things consistent. But then the other part of it is all of the characters, everyone that you meet, all the groups, like all the locations, everything is in there, and it's got a purpose. What was the thinking behind the Moor? Why does the Moor exist? And then there's a whole piece of that. Um, and then that's like for whoever's working on the game to just go into that and take from it what they need. It's not like it shouldn't be seen as like rule. There's some stuff that you shouldn't kind of ignore, for example, like, because this has been thought through.
Mhm.
I do think about what I'm doing, and everything. There are things that have to stick together. So you can't just go, I want to change it to this then, because then suddenly everything falls apart. But at the same time, it's there to inspire people, and so they can grab just one thing and go, I'm going to run with that. And then that's when you have a conversation of like, does this ruin what you've done if I kind of go this way with it? No, and that's a really good idea. So let's build that into the law. So but yeah, we don't have this kind of thing of like framing, all right, we're only going to show this, but it's more Little Nightmares is made in a certain way.
That's
We
very
don't.
interesting. I love
Mm,
that. One of my favorite things about the game is that you give us like all the pieces and everything. It's like all there in the backgrounds and
mm,
everything, but you don't say it outright. Like for example, like the teacher playing piano. That's a scene that like
mm.
I cannot get out of my head. I just did a paper on it. and like 6 breaking the mannequin's fingers or like kicking the dead void guy's face. Like, it's just so cool. How do you? It's so important than what you show versus what you don't, because those little bits, even though they're like technically so little, gave so much about like the characters in the world. Just fantastic. That's not a question, it's just fantastic.
Why is it so fantastic?
Oh, here, I'll tell you.
No, it's yeah, and I think, you know, once you've told people that you're not going to tell them everything, but there's going to be stuff in there for them to find out, that's when their perspective changes. And I think that's really important, because you could do that, you know, that could be the case in other games, but if they haven't told you, then you just run through it like it's set dressing and you don't pay attention to anything. But the minute you say there are things to see here, then they zoom right in and they're like going, what does that mean? What does that mean? What does that mean? And they know what we're doing and we know what they're looking for. So there's a nice dialogue there where, you know, we take time to put these details in, knowing that they're going to find it and knowing that they will be looking to put, you know, to connect these things. So it's a really nice way of kind of engaging with players in a different way than just, here's our cutscene, here's our exposition, whatever.